My name's Quinn. I am the head of engineering at Timeline Television. We're a company that specialises in quite a lot of different areas. We have an OB division, which is where I primarily am, but we have a broadcast centre in Ealing, and we run a lot of IT and managed services across London and the rest of the UK. My role specifically is not only just manage and maintain our OB fleet, flyaways and all of our technical equipment within the company, but it's also just discover new technologies that will make our lives easier, sort of on the roads, when it especially comes to system delay, testing, on-site times with our engineers. So working with manufacturers and suppliers is a major part of my role when it comes to purchasing equipment, repairs and new discoveries in the technology world, really. I would say that MatchBox is definitely one of our new discoveries, although we have been in discussions with James and Russell since 2017, which is when we built our first IP truck. And it was a whole new world for everyone, really, IP. So we didn't really know where the delays were going to start or finish. So we really needed a sort of test pattern system that was going to give us an absolutely perfect source to end delay. So when we started our discussions with the guys at Hitomi in 2017, myself and my colleague Dave Harnett, who's our head of operations, we were there on a trip to discover a load of equipment to build our next truck. That trip meant that we spoke to a lot of manufacturers about all of their different products and where the future was going. That's what those trips are intended for. And we actually just came across Russell and James demoing a bit of equipment, and it was their first edition Hitomi MatchBox, and we just got chatting for hours, and hours led into days of discussions, and then a few beers here and there. And yeah, I think it's one of the main factors with it is that they were just so genuine about their product, and they had worked so hard to produce this product themselves. They're not a huge corporation. I'm really for pushing sort of local and smaller businesses rather than huge manufacturers and companies, although they have their benefits as well. Smaller companies is really important for us to support, because a lot of the ideas that these guys have can lead into some of the most amazing and useful technologies, really. So when we met up with them at IBC, I think it was the fact that they were just so passionate about the product that really made it also so configurable for us. We were able to say, well, what about this, or could you add this? And they weren't quick to say, oh yeah, we can absolutely do that. It's not about the sale, it's about thinking about it and whether it was actually a possibility from their side. And they'd come back to us later on and say, yeah, we think we can do it, or well, we might do that in the next product, or it's a nice genuine chat then, a nice genuine discussion. And since then they've developed massive amounts in their product. So yeah, it's great that we've moved into that. I think the main problems with what it is on site is that our engineers are very pressed to get the job done for the client's requirements, and something that the client is just not interested in is delays and syncs. They're obviously interested in it being right, but they're not interested in the whole process in which we go through to get to that point. So being able to have a tool that allows us to check this really easy and simply means that we're able to concentrate on all of the other requirements that the client is much more interested in. Usually it's like, when's the internet going to be available in the OB truck, or getting a particular wipe into a mixer. They're all really important parts of the show, whereas a delay check through the system should just be something that just always works. So we just had to have something that we were always able to rely on, basically, and no matter what, was always going to be consistent. I think it was as we were talking about new technologies that we were intending on moving into, in terms of the IP world, that we realised that there was going to be added delays in the system that nobody really had an answer to. Each manufacturer had their own set of delays in their system, but there was no sort of definitive answer about it. So I thought at the time, God, this is going to be really difficult unless we've got something that we can really rely on and get it right the first time. But it means now that once we've built the track, or any future tracks, we've now built a second one with the same technology, that we can use the Matchbox to test any changes that manufacturers release, different updates, and something might change, and we can always rely on the fact that it works consistently each time. I know I keep saying that, but it really is so important, especially when it comes to, I can't spot everything when I apply a new update that fixes one thing, it might break something else. So I have to work really closely with every manufacturer to get it right every time. Previously, there was a much older technology which wasn't being developed anymore. So it was missing a lot of the features that we really needed to rely on. Other tools we were using were like sort of visual aids. So a sort of timer which blipped every time, every second went round, it would blip at the top. And you would feed that into a replay machine and jog it back until you saw the blip and heard it at the same time. All very time consuming. It relies on the fact that you have a replay machine on site, which sometimes you don't when you're on OBs. Some OBs are very small. All you want to know is that the microphone that person is talking into is in sync coming out the other ends before they've even got there. Yes, we still use the visual aids as well, because it's important that we have multiple ways of checking our system delays. But the Hitomi system means that it's always going to be the same. It's always consistently right. It saves a lot of time, saves a lot of stress and worry about it, because once the delays are set, it's very simple. The job just continues as is, really. I think what Russell and James have done is they've made a product which is compatible in the current system, and I know there were some discussions at some point at taking on new technologies like making an IP-based Hitomi, and I don't know the current status of where they've got to with that, but I know that we've brought it up with them before, and I know they're always very keen on taking it on. But because they've created a product with sort of SDI connections on the back, it can be used absolutely anywhere. And adding it or moving it around from one place to another is just not very difficult at all. So maybe one job specifically needs it more than another one day, and we can move it onto that job. So it's not hard to move it and reuse it elsewhere, really. Yeah, I think it's very important to mention the new part of the Hitomi Matchbox. Hitomi Glass is just such a revelation when it comes to moving forwards and the next step with their products, really, because that really does make it from actual, person talking out of their mouth into a microphone. The actual true delay, including the sort of camera lens as well. Now, previously, the Hitomi Matchbox generator was post the camera, so we weren't actually incorporating the camera delay. There was no way of actually checking that our camera was actually and our mic were actually in sync with each other. You just don't know, and the only way you could do that was with sort of just looking with visual aids. So the glass feature allows us to, put any mobile phone in front of that's supported in front of a camera with the mic that the presenter is going to be using, and the combination of the moving barcode, the QR code, and the sound that it makes means that we can put that straight into the analyzer that we've always had, just needs a new update, and we can read all of the delays throughout the path directly from in front of the camera to the point where the feed leaves the truck or our broadcast center. So it's a really, really great product, and we absolutely love that. And we've recently taken on another unit in our broadcast center, and that's used every single day on the Women's Super League, on the national leagues, and all of those remote productions that we have running through our broadcast center. Yeah, remote production is especially key because you can almost guarantee that there is a compatible mobile phone or iPad that is on site nearby that you can download the Hitomi app onto, and that's just available in the App Store. And once you've got that, you can just point it at a camera with a mic nearby, and no matter who's receiving the feed further down the chain, whether it's a local truck or it's a remote production facility or several remote production facilities, you can almost guarantee that each of those facilities can measure the time it takes for the sound to get there relative to the video. And it just means that there's just almost zero stress with getting that working and accurate, basically. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's a really, really great product. Highly recommended. Camera to camera sync up, that's actually relatively quite simple to sync a line camera with a radio camera. But yeah, it does work the same way, but we obviously have to delay our video to match any slower camera that is being cut together with it in a multiple camera shoot. That's actually fairly simple to do, but glass can be used to achieve that as well. But the main usage for glass is to get that presenter's mouth moving in time with you seeing it, or near as damn it, really. It's a huge selling point, actually. We've got, clients who are coming in and going, how do we know it's all in sync? And we can say, well, we've been using this tool for years when it comes to it. And it just means that there's a kind of extra satisfaction or extra level of product that we can sell alongside our main product, and we start writing that now in our bids to companies who ask us to quote for a job, that we add that in as part of the package as it's written, to say this is included in our package, that the sync will be guaranteed throughout using this product. Yeah, we've used Hitomi MatchBox and Glass on various jobs now. More recently, well, not so recent now, it was the Doha World Championships that was in 2019, and it was going to be used on the Euros last year, although that's still happening this year, so that's we'll definitely be using it there. It's used every single week on the Women's Super League for BBC and BT in our broadcast centre. So that's where we have a phone at the far end, and we have it remotely, all the feeds remotely sent back to our broadcast centre in Ealing. And a huge variety of BT Sport contracts that we have where we use it there. I think their support is excellent because it's such a small team, so they really want to make their products absolutely perfect. I mean, like every product out there, there's always improvements to be made and bug fixes, and when new features get added, there might be something that's not been completely ratified or fully tested. And so when we sort of report anything that's gone wrong, the guys are really quick to look into it, release a fix and send it out to us. So we're super grateful for their service. Yeah, I mean, I think they're absolutely brilliant. They have the Dolby encoding and decoding feature, which which we use quite a lot, actually. We're very thankful for that. It means that we can see the audio inside a Dolby stream. It can decode that with no problem. We can check the sync between the other audios that are relative to the Dolby stream. Glass is obviously phenomenal. I just don't understand how they've done it. It's incredible. But that's sort of the point, really. We don't need to understand it. We just need to know that it works and what it does. It's just, yeah, that's the job of the manufacturer, to make it a product that they dream of and they've worked so hard to create. I'd highly recommend it for big broadcast centers, especially. I mean, not only do you only need one analyzer if you have a Glass license, you then just get people with their mobile phones or sound engineers on site with their mobile phones just to download the free app. So it's such a great feature to be able to have.